Hi, I'm Liz. I'm going to be reciting a poem called To a Real One. That's me. So I hope you enjoy. Okay. I have so much unfinished poetry about men. Maybe it is because I've not allowed my heart to heal. I tend to fall for emotionally unavailable men. I also have a tendency of attracting men with babies and baby mamas. I did not choose to be a healer. Did not choose to be such a good fucking listener. This is probably because they are a reminder of home, a resemblance of my father shit. Maybe it is because I have not forgave myself for failing at fixing my father, but I do love a new challenge. You be the mission church I built in 4th grade out of cereal boxes. Be the rubber band my sister used on her pants when she got pregnant. Be the broken ornament that is and continues to be hung every Christmas. Or the last piece of acrylic nail I can't seem to take off the irony. The men who are the most unavailable have a way of making me feel most available. Maybe this is why I am the way I am. Maybe it is because I'm doing the work for us both. I be your rehabilitation center, be the window you crawl out of so no one knows it's happening. I be a reminder of your mother always cleaning up your mess and hiding the scraps. I be the bakery across my house that is open 24 hours. He only comes when he is starving. When all other bakeries are closed, I was never your first choice. Or your second, but you sure made me feel like I was. I don't remember the last time my father hugged me or told me that he loved me. Maybe this is why my love languages are words of affirmation and physical touch. I heard women with daddy issues are the freakiest. I am. Maybe this is why I leave all my problems in bed. I'm also not surprised that my trauma is fetishized. I heard that healing is not stagnant, that we are never fully done healing, but I pray for better days, for the day I recognize a good man, distinguish him from men dressed in sheepskin. See, I've always given out more love than I've ever received, but I know in my heart that I will attract a man that loves me as much as I do him. I will be more than a pile of bones laying next to him or a girl he likes but never loves. I will continue being woman whose heart is full of love. And I will never give up on love. So when I meet you, love, I will be ready to shower you in it. But until then, I will continue healing and growing and loving because I love my type of love. It is endless and makes you feel muy lleno, like a chile relleno. It is sweet, like abuelita's gelatina. It has carried my heartache and said, that's it. Shit, I guess going to the gym is really paying off. It has dragged me out of bed when my depression has said, you are not good enough. So do not worry about me, love. I will continue loving myself until forever. Thank you.
Oh my God, we are back in the room.
We're
back in the studio.
Yes,
It's
sir.
Toledo, and we're with Miss Liz. Wow.
Yes, we are.
I just gotta tell you guys, this has been a long time coming because Liz has been a long time friend of the podcast. If you are also a long time friend of the podcast, you have already seen her episode. If not, Go ahead.
You
and pick
missing
it.
out.
You missing out. You missing out. I'm so happy to have Miss Liz back on the show, and along with her piece, to a real one, right?
Yeah, I'm so excited. That was so. I can't wait for everyone to hear it. That was great.
Oh, yeah.
I love being here. It kind of feels a little weird because I haven't been here in like 5 years, but like,
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you for welcoming
too
me
long.
back. Me back.
Always.
Yeah, the door's always open. Okay, so first question, actually, we have a lot of questions, but first one, why this piece?
Why did I decide to share this? Well, I think, okay, so I was driving over here and I was like, I'm going to do a love poem, right? Because my last poem is like talking about how men or people try to like objectify women, mostly men. And I was like, let's do something different. So I thought love, right? But I really wanted to do this poem. Like I chose to change it because I'm like, nobody ever talks about, or I just wanted to put a poem out there that talked about how you can love yourself after being hurt. In like platonic and romantic relationships, and how you should invest in yourself because that's like where I'm at right now.
And what was really cool about your piece is that you really did take a trip through the platonic and romantic and familial type of relationships, you know.
Yeah.
You were mentioning a lot about like the type of guys you would attract, as well as, I'm assuming your father, like your relationship.
The resemblance.
And there's one line that really jumped out at me, and it was along the lines of that you didn't choose to be a healer. And that had me thinking, if you didn't choose it, who did?
Well, if I fucking knew, I wouldn't be here. Damn.
Facts, yeah.
I wouldn't have chose those men.
Yeah.
No, that's a good question. I think I chose them, right? Subconsciously. I think that I realized that my biggest thing is like I tend to fall for people's potential, or I'm like, I can fix you. You just need a little loving and a little support. And then I didn't realize that, it took me years to realize that I needed that love and support, and I was not giving that to myself. So I'd rather someone else have that and not me. And we were talking about this before, and it all sprouts from like childhood and like what you're used to, and always giving and always giving. And if you're always giving, like you're left with nothing. It's like the analogy of the cup, right? And I can't be there for people that I love, my friend or myself, if there's nothing left.
How do you know when you're being spread too thin?
I didn't know before. I thought that I was a fucking superhero, and that's not realistic. And I don't think I would want to be. I didn't realize it until like my depression was getting really bad, and we talked about this, and like my social battery was like running out, and I was just feeling not like Liz, and this was not me. And so I realized, somebody told me, so I started working within mental health, and everything started clicking, and I started therapy. And one of my coworkers was like, where was I going with this? We
were talking about how do you know when you're spread too thin. You were mentioning your social battery.
Thank you. Yeah. This is helpful.
And you were talking about, your therapist.
One of my coworkers said something about like, I got it. If it starts affecting your mental health, then it's not worth it. And I thought, like, damn, why is every relationship or partner that I'm choosing like affecting my mental health? And that's because I didn't know boundaries, or I didn't know how to say no. I didn't know when it was enough, or I just didn't know. And I'm realizing through experience and through talking to people and sharing my experience is that, like, it's okay to say no. It's okay to not know what to do in certain situations. Like, we have not lived today any other day. Like, this is our first time doing
Brand new.
today.
Yeah.
And if I fucking drop something, like, I didn't know I was going to do that. Like, it's going to happen, but I didn't mean to. So I don't know. I think that's something that's really been helping me. So I'm like, dude, if you're causing more emotional drainage to me, I don't want you in my life.
Yeah.
And it took a long time to realize that. Like, and I'm okay with still, like, learn. Like, that's the point of learning and getting to know people. Yeah.
I feel like it's relative how much time gets spent. When you say it took a long time, I'm sure it felt that way, but I feel like, you still have so much, like, ahead to where it's like, you got ahead of it almost. If you feel in the way where it's like you actually got ahead of the fact that you're understanding yourself and how you deal with people before it's quote unquote like down the road type of thing. Because a lot of people don't get that emotionally aware until, much later. So,
Well, one thing I think about is that, especially based off of that line that you mentioned, it's like, obviously, every single time we do anything, there's a first time, right? Yeah. So, you feel like you were the healer. There's probably a first time where you did what you needed to do and you saw positive results.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, cool. I can do this.
And that was my dad.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So.
And it was me doing something, and I was like, wait, if I keep doing this, if I keep saving him, then maybe he'll stop hurting himself. Then maybe he'll stop, just, not gonna go into that.
But then you found yourself in a situation where
I was
kept
strained.
doing it. You kept doing it, and then
and also he relied on it, and people that I was doing it for, even in friendships, were relying on Liz to always be there. And how about who's showing up for me? Nobody. Like, really. I have a community now, but it's like the most important person who I really needed to show up for me was me. Yeah. And I'm happy that I am finally, like, slowly but surely getting there and realizing that, like, I'm worthy of that same love I keep giving to everybody else.
Do you feel like that pressure was coming from yourself internally, or do you think it was coming externally from your family?
Both. Mm-hmm. I think both, which made it worse.
Yeah.
Because I think it started with pressure on myself. Because I felt super guilty when giving myself that, like, love and time for myself. Like, in my culture, when you give yourself you time or me time, like, it's wrong. Yeah, it's looked down upon because you're supposed to care about your family and your community and, like, come on, do something. Like, it's very, like, fast paced and there's no, like, slowing down. And especially if we live in, like, a individualistic and monochronic culture, like, it's, you see this around. Everyone's always moving and never, like, just taking a fucking break. Yeah. And when you do, like, it's weird. It's fucking weird. Like, you're like, what the fuck is this? Like, I'm not supposed to feel calm. I'm not supposed to breathe. And you are.
And it's really interesting. Like, let's get into this.
Let's get into it.
So it's like, because you brought up the differences between, like, familial cultures, right? And it is tough when, you have, where you come from a place, or, like, and when I say come from a place, like,
culture,
a family, culture, whatever, that is more like a village, like a village
driven. Yeah, it makes sense.
A village raises a kid, type thing, where it's, like, very familial, like, everything, like, you are not an individual, you are part of a whole. Yeah. And then, like, you are living in that construct in a place where it's like the individual is the one.
Yeah.
And I think
that's a great point.
because I know me personally, And I'm sure a lot of people that come from that like sort of like
Upbringing,
or where the family and the parents or everyone that came from that version, like they're like, why are you and then you've been growing up in this like thing, and then there's that like pull and tension, and but it's like at the end of the day,
it's confusing. Honestly,
it's super confusing, and it could drive you nuts. Like, and that makes a lot of sense. Another thing I wanted to bring up is that common thread that you actually mentioned about, like, your familial upbringing, and then obviously the first time you realized that it was a working strategy with your dad, and then seeing with certain people that you were getting the same response, which probably to that little girl within you, it's probably like, I'm doing it. I think I'm doing something right.
To do this.
And then like finding out that's like, oh shoot, like this. I'm not in the village. I'm not like raising a family. Like that could be very.
It's I like that you talked about like push and pull, because it is very confusing. And then you go into like, you add the factor of like people pleasing, and then it's like, wait, what am I supposed to do? Like, what's right or wrong? And it's you're right, it fucks with you for sure. And I think I'm just grateful that okay. Did I have to go through all that shit?
Yeah.
Maybe not. But I'm grateful for it now, and therapy.
I just thought that. Like
shout out to my therapist.
People pleasing in certain culture, it's not even like people pleasing. It's just like.
What do you mean?
Well, because it's like, all right, like if you're in a situation where it's like, all right, I'm supposed to do this for my family, you get some sort of praise. It's like, nice, sick,
right.
And then like that's like in like a family, and you're in a culture where it's like as expected. It's like cool, and then you get to a point where you're in a culture where it's mainly individualistic, but you're being raised in a very collectivist sort of thing. It's like in that collectivist thing, you're getting praised for what you're doing, but you're also in an individualistic place where you get praise regardless.
I think also,
if you're doing that sort of stuff.
I think also we're in a generation where we're like dismantling that, right? Yeah. So it's like, try not to be a people pleaser, but like people pleasing is all I know. So like, and then it's like, oh, you people please, and it's like, bitch, what? I'm not sure what you want from me. So it's like, and that's how it felt at first. It's again a push and pull. It's like, what do you want from me? And then you have to really hone in on like, it doesn't fucking matter what people want from you. Like, it doesn't matter what type of content people want to see. Like, if you're, like, why are you doing it? Like, the root of everything that we're talking about is, like, what is the intent?
Yeah.
Why?
Keep
asking why.
I think it's mainly about balance, obviously.
Yes.
Because you have to do both at the end of the day. But if
you think so?
I think you have, like, to a degree, to a degree, you have to do both, because if you're wholly self-centered, then nothing comes out of that. But if you are fully focused on any other individual, then nothing, you don't get anything out of that either. Yeah. And we're in a system where you have to do that people pleasing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Do you think that it would be considered people pleasing though?
You can call it whatever you want.
I see.
People just call it whatever.
Nice
like,
person.
But being like friendly and being nice and being polite is not. I wouldn't call that necessarily people pleasing. But like taking the next step would be like going out of way for it when it's not going to come back to you, or like certain situations where you feel like that person would not do that for you in a transactional sense. You're just doing it just because. But if you have enough of that energy to go around, more the merrier type of thing, because you're always going to get that back. But you got to like take yourself and think like, do I have that kind of energy or whatever? Yeah. If you ain't got that kind of like to give out, then you're just doing yourself dirty at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying?
So when you're in this like subconscious, like, or well,
That's a good point too. It's probably gonna be subconscious too.
right?
But yeah,
it's probably subconscious, and you're so used to doing something, and you're so used to like going back to like old ways, and it's a pattern. Because we talked about before this, just so you guys know, we talked about like habit building, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I lose, if whoever the fuck's watching this, you know, I always lose my keys. I've done really good, and I should put that in my bio, but like whatever. I spent months since I think.
That's that's nice.
Sure.
That's progress.
Snaps to that.
Yeah, thank you, snaps. So we were
Before it
talking
was
about
months,
habit
how often
building.
was it?
Oh my God, so bad.
Like
Honestly, like twice a month.
twice a month is
Like,
a lot.
and that
to
shit was
lose your keys.
expensive. Don't fucking do
Oh,
that.
so you
Build a
weren't
habit.
fine. So you weren't
Backpack,
even
keys.
finding the keys.
Dude, no, they were in my car. I was locked out.
no.
One time, I need to make. You know what? This is reminding me to go make a copy. Thank you.
Hey,
Next question.
But guess what? But guess what? Guess what? Go ahead. What you're saying? Like how long have you not been losing your keys?
Months.
Okay.
Months. So
And then-
a habit building works.
Yeah.
And so that's what we were talking about is like dismantling certain things that you do subconsciously. And what do you need to do that? Like to dismantle something, you need to build a new habit.
And one thing I pulled from your piece was because you were talking about your father, you were talking about the men you attracted, the many unfinished poems that you have about men. But the biggest thing I pulled from your piece was cycles, like identifying cycles, seeing the cycles, right? Because you mentioned like right when you were talking about the type of guys you attracted or like what you try to do to protect them, to preserve them, you brought up your dad like right after that, which like basically shows like, when you realize you're doing something, it and honestly, I think that's the best moment when you realize you're doing something. Yeah. And then it's like, and we were also kind of talking about this before, like, you're putting pieces together. Yeah. Like, it's because of
this connects to
I
this.
did. Mm-hmm. So that's why
the realization is the first step. I think I agree. It's powerful. Yeah. But then I think it can be tricky because it can be into like, okay, I realize this. Am I going to do something about it? It's like what everybody talks about. Like, what are you going to do after that? Like, okay, let's say I hurt your feelings, which maybe I have. I always tell him he's not funny. He's not. How do you? Yeah, zoom in.
Zoom in on you.
You might scare them.
Hey, guess what? Guess what? All the words that she's saying has no effect on me because I know who I am.
Whatever.
She can say what she wants. Guess what? She's funny sometimes as well. That sucks.
Nobody believed that. You see nobody around.
No one believed what you said either.
Anyway. We're gonna do a poll later. Yeah. We're gonna do a poll.
Yeah. But hey, real fast though, like because we do have to. We're on a little bit of a time crunch. Like, oh man. Oh, we were just getting to the mean potatoes.
We're gonna get a part two.
Let's get a part two in because I feel like there's a lot of stuff that needs to be dissected from this piece and a lot of stuff that people would really relate to. Like, I think whether it's in like with love or anything like that, or regular stuff, regular activities like
self-love.
Self-love. Yeah. Like, whether it's addictions, whether it's just little things like losing your keys, then it's like, damn, I keep losing my wallet. It's like what cycles?
Micro habits.
Micro habit. That's a good
And how you feel about it and stuff. I think this is one of the first pieces where there is a positive like ending to it, and I don't think I was able to write a positive ending for a while. I remember talking to you about it, and I'm like, I can't write a fucking happy poem. And this poem makes me very happy because one, like there's so much like of my life and so much growth at the end. And I am on that like healing journey. And like I said in one of the lines, like healing is not stagnant. Like we're never fully done healing.
Yeah.
And what's really helped is just having people like a community to share that with, and also like just grow with. Period. Like you're not the same person I met 5-6 years ago, and it's amazing. So yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Miss Liz, go ahead and tell them where they can find you.
Oh my God, I messed this up last time. You can follow me on Instagram. Just don't be creepy. My Instagram is Gucci Liz, 3 C's and 2 I's for Liz.
She looked that up before we started recording just so she get it right.
I hope that's right.
I'm young Toledo, YUNGT
4 Z's.
OLEDO_. And you can follow the podcast at Kill the Poet _, just like that. And then Kolo, go ahead and let them know what it is.
You already know it's Kolo
You don't
Kai.
want to follow him.
Let's
be real.
OLOK.
She's only saying that because he doesn't follow.
Twitter, Instagram. Let's go.
Hey, y'all. Have an amazing day, night, morning, wherever you're listening to this. It's Kill the Poet.
It's 5
Let's
o'clock.
go.